Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and looked at the screens. The blue and green planet in front of them was Earth. After many years of searching, the Galactic Empire had finally found the home world of the humans. Jake had been told this would be an easy job. The humans were supposed to be weak and simple. Empire's ships had been traveling through space for 3 months to reach this system. They came from the far side of the galaxy where the Empire ruled over thousands of worlds. Each planet they conquered became a source of materials and workers for the Empire. Earth would be just another world to add to their collection. Admiral Lisa Carter sat in her command chair on the flagship. She read the reports from the scout ships with a bored expression. The humans lived in small cities scattered across their planet. They had some basic technology, but nothing that could threaten the Empire. Their space program was limited to a few simple rockets and small stations orbiting their world. This should be finished quickly, Lisa said to her officers. The humans have no real weapons. They spend most of their time fighting each other over small pieces of land. We can take control of their planet in a few days. Captain Ryan Brooks was in charge of gathering information about Earth. His team had been watching the planet for weeks. They saw humans driving primitive vehicles, living in basic buildings, and using simple communication systems. The humans seemed to care more about entertainment and trade than building weapons. They have some nuclear bombs, Ryan reported to Admiral Carter, but they are old and weak. Their armies use guns and tanks that are hundreds of years behind our technology. They do not even have proper spaceships. Dr. Elena Rodriguez was the Empire's expert on alien life forms. She had studied many species that the Empire had conquered, but something about the humans made her feel uneasy. She watched their behavior patterns and noticed things that did not make sense. "Admiral, I think we should study them more," Elena said during a meeting with the senior officers. "The humans act strangely for such a simple species. When they fight their small wars, they work together very well. Their cities are built stronger than they need to be." Admiral Carter waved her hand dismissively. "You worry too much, Doctor. Every species has its odd habits. The humans are just another primitive race that needs to be brought under Empire control." Fleet Admiral Marcus Webb received his orders from the Imperial High Command. He was told to follow the standard procedure for conquering new worlds. First, they would demand surrender. If the humans refused, they would destroy one of their cities as an example. After that, most species begged for mercy. Marcus had done this many times before. He commanded over 300 warships, each one capable of destroying entire planets. No primitive world had ever been able to resist the Empire's power. The humans would be no different. The Imperial fleet gathered at the edge of Earth's solar system. The ships were massive, some over 5 miles long. They carried weapons that could turn mountains into dust and shields that could protect them from any attack. The crews were confident and ready for another easy victory. Jake Morrison felt excited as he prepared his ship for the attack. He had joined the Empire's navy to see new worlds and fight in glorious battles. But most conquests were boring. The primitive species usually gave up as soon as they saw the Imperial fleet. He hoped the humans would at least try to fight back. Lisa Carter studied the tactical displays showing Earth's defenses. The humans had a few military satellites and some basic missile systems. Their space stations were small and looked like they were used for research rather than war. The planet's military forces seemed to be scattered and poorly organized. "This will be over before lunch," Lisa told her staff. "The humans have no idea what real war looks like. They have been fighting each other with toys, while we have been conquering galaxies." Ryan Brooks sent his final report to the Fleet Command. He had identified all the major human cities and military bases. The humans had about 8 billion people living on their planet. Most of them seemed to be farmers, workers, and merchants. Only a small percentage were soldiers, and their weapons were laughably primitive. I recommend we target their capital. Cities first, Ryan wrote in his report. Once their leaders surrender, the rest of the population will follow. The humans do not have the unity or technology to mount any serious resistance. Elena Rodriguez continued to feel worried about the mission. She had noticed that human communications were more complex than they appeared. The humans seemed to have hidden networks that the Empire's sensors could not fully detect. She also observed that human industrial capacity was much higher than expected for such a supposedly primitive species. "Admiral, there are some unusual readings from the planet," Elena reported. "Their power generation is much higher than it should be, and there are strange energy signatures coming from under their oceans." Admiral Carter was getting tired of the doctor's concerns. "Elena, you are seeing problems where none exist. The humans are using their primitive technology inefficiently. That explains the high power readings. As for the oceans, they probably have some basic underwater facilities." Marcus Webb gave the order for the fleet to move into Earth's orbit. The massive ships entered the solar system in a formation designed to intimidate any watching enemies. They had done this same maneuver hundreds of times before. Most species surrendered immediately when they saw the size and power of the Imperial fleet. The fleet moved slowly through the outer planets of the solar system. They passed Jupiter and Saturn without paying much attention to them. The gas giants looked normal to their sensors. There were some mining operations on a few moons, but nothing that looked threatening. As they approached Earth, the Imperial commanders felt confident about their mission. The planet looked peaceful and defenseless. There were no massive space stations or hidden weapon platforms. The humans seemed to be completely unprepared for war. Jake Morrison watched Earth grow larger on his screen. The planet was beautiful, with white clouds swirling over blue oceans and green continents. It seemed too nice to destroy, but the Empire needed its resources. The humans would be relocated to designated areas, while the Empire stripped the planet of its wealth. Lisa Carter prepared to send the standard surrender demand to Earth's leaders. The message was simple and direct. The humans would submit to Empire rule or face the consequences. She had sent this same message to hundreds of worlds before. The response was always the same: fear, panic, and quick surrender. The Imperial fleet took its position in Earth's orbit. 300 warships surrounded the planet like a metal cloud. Their weapons were charged and ready. Their shields were raised. The crews waited for the order to begin the conquest. But something was different about this mission. The humans were not reacting the way other species had. There was no panic in their communications, no desperate calls for help, no attempts to flee the planet. The humans seemed almost calm, as if they had been expecting this moment. Elena Rodriguez watched the readings from her instruments and felt a chill run down her spine. The energy signatures from Earth were changing. Power levels were increasing. Across the planet, something was happening beneath the surface, something the Empire had not detected during their initial survey. "Admiral," Elena said quietly, "I think we may have made a mistake." The Imperial fleet hung in space around Earth like a dark cloud. Admiral Lisa Carter stood on the bridge of her flagship and prepared to send the surrender message. She had done this so many times that she knew the words by heart. The humans would have no choice but to give up when they saw the power of the Empire. "Send the message," Lisa ordered her communications officer. The standard surrender demand was transmitted to Earth in multiple languages. The message was simple: submit to Empire rule or be destroyed. Most species took less than an hour to respond with complete surrender. But the humans were different. Instead of panic or fear, the response came from a simple military bunker in the mountains of Colorado. The person who answered was a woman who called herself General Kate Sullivan. Her voice was calm and polite, as if she was discussing the weather. "Thank you for your message," General Sullivan said. "We have reviewed your offer of subjugation, and we must respectfully decline. Earth is not interested in joining your empire. Perhaps we could discuss trade agreements instead." The Imperial bridge fell silent. Admiral Carter stared at the communication screen in disbelief. No primitive species had ever refused their demands so calmly. Most worlds sent desperate messages begging for mercy or time to consider their options. Did she just say no? Asked Commander Jake Morrison, who was standing nearby. He had never heard of a species refusing the Empire's demands outright. Usually there was at least some fear or negotiation. Captain Ryan Rooks was equally confused. Maybe they do not understand the situation. Should we explain what will happen if they refuse? Admiral Carter was angry. How dare these primitive humans refuse the Empire's generous offer? She had given them a chance to surrender peacefully, and they had thrown it back in her face. "Send another message," Lisa ordered. "Tell them exactly what we will do to their planet if they do not surrender immediately." The second message was more detailed. It explained how the Empire would destroy their cities, enslave their population, and strip their world of all resources. The humans would be relocated to work camps, while the Empire took everything of value from their planet. General Sullivan's response was even more polite than before. "We appreciate you taking the time to explain your position. However, our answer remains the same. Earth will not submit to your empire. We suggest you reconsider your approach and perhaps leave our solar system peacefully." Dr. Elena Rodriguez felt her unease growing stronger. The humans were acting like they had some kind of secret weapon or hidden advantage. But the Empire's sensors showed no sign of any advanced technology that could threaten their fleet. "This is not normal behavior," Elena told Admiral Carter. "Every species we have encountered shows fear when faced with our fleet. The humans are acting like they are not afraid at all." Admiral Carter was losing patience. "They are probably just too stupid to understand the danger they are in. We will have to show them what Imperial power looks like." Fleet Admiral Marcus Webb decided to make a demonstration of force. This was a standard tactic that always worked on stubborn species. They would destroy one target to show their power, and then the humans would quickly surrender. "Prepare to destroy their largest city," Marcus ordered. "We will start with the place they call New York. After we turn it into ash, they will understand that resistance is useless." The Imperial destroyer, Star Crusher, moved into position above New York City. The massive ship was over 2 miles long and carried enough firepower to level entire continents. Its plasma cannons began charging for a devastating strike that would instantly kill millions of humans. Captain Danny Parker commanded the Star Crusher. He had destroyed many cities during his career with the Empire. It was always the same: a flash of light, a mushroom cloud, and then silence. The humans would see their greatest city vanish and immediately beg for mercy. "Weapons charged and ready," reported his weapons officer. "Target locked on the city center. Shall I fire?" Danny was about to give the order when something impossible happened. The Star Crusher simply vanished. One moment it was there, charging its weapons, and the next moment it was gone. There was no explosion, no debris, no sign of what had happened to the ship. The Imperial fleet was shocked into silence. A 2-mile-long destroyer had just disappeared without a trace. The humans had no technology that could do such a thing. Their weapons were supposed to be primitive and weak. Where did it go? Jake Morrison asked, staring at the empty space where the Star Crusher had been. "What happened to our ship?" Before anyone could answer, more ships began disappearing. Bright beams of light came from empty space around Earth, striking Imperial vessels and making them vanish instantly. The beams seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Ryan Brooks watched in horror as his sensor readings showed Imperial ships being destroyed faster than he could count them. "Admiral, we are under attack, but I cannot locate the source of the weapon's fire." Lisa Carter saw her fleet being torn apart by invisible enemies. Destroyers and cruisers were vanishing one after another. The Empire's shields, which could protect against any known weapon, were useless against whatever the humans were using. "All ships return fire," Lisa ordered. "Target anything that looks suspicious." The Imperial fleet began firing in all directions, but their weapons hit nothing but empty space. And mysterious beams continued to strike their ships, making them disappear without a trace. In less than 10 minutes, the Empire had lost 50 vessels. Elena Rodriguez worked frantically at her instruments, trying to understand what was happening. The energy readings from Earth were off the charts. Whatever was attacking them was using technology far beyond anything the Empire had encountered. "Admiral, these energy signatures are impossible," Elena reported. "The humans are using some kind of weapon that our sensors cannot detect. They are firing from positions we cannot see." General Sullivan contacted the Imperial fleet again. This time, her voice came from a different location. The Empire's computers tried to trace the signal, but found that it seemed to be coming from deep underground. "We warned you to leave peacefully," General Sullivan said. "You chose to threaten our cities instead. We cannot allow that. Please withdraw your fleet before we are forced to take stronger action." Admiral Carter was furious. "Stronger action? You have already destroyed 50 of our ships. How is that possible? Your species is supposed to be primitive." "We are not as primitive as you believed," General Sullivan replied. "Earth has been preparing for this day for a very long time. We hoped you would choose peace, but you have chosen war instead." Marcus Webb realized that the situation had become a disaster. His fleet was being destroyed by enemies he could not see or understand. The humans had somehow hidden their true military capabilities from the Empire's scouts. "All ships, pull back to defensive positions," Marcus ordered. "We need to regroup and figure out what we are facing." But the Imperial fleet found that retreat was not easy. The mysterious weapons continued to strike their ships, even as they tried to move away from Earth. The beams seemed to follow them, reaching out across thousands of miles to destroy Imperial vessels. Jake Morrison watched the tactical display with growing fear. Red dots representing Imperial ships were disappearing from the screen faster than he could count. The humans were not just defending themselves, they were winning. "How are they doing this?" Jake asked. "Our intelligence said they had no advanced weapons. Where did all this technology come from?" Ryan Brooks was studying the sensor data when he noticed something terrifying. "Admiral, I think I know what is happening. The energy signatures are not just coming from the planet. They are coming from all over the solar system." Lisa Carter felt her blood turn cold. "What do you mean, all over the solar system?" "The asteroids, the moons, even the gas giants," Ryan explained. "They are all showing the same energy signatures. I think the humans have turned their entire star system into a weapon." Elena Rodriguez confirmed Ryan's findings. He is right. The power readings are coming from everywhere. This is not just a planet we are facing. This is an entire solar system that has been converted into a military installation. The Imperial fleet continued to lose ships as they struggled to understand their situation. The humans had somehow managed to hide a massive military network throughout their solar system. Every rock, every moon, every planet was apparently armed and ready for war. "General," Sullivan's voice came through the communication system one more time. "This is your final warning. Leave our solar system immediately, or we will destroy every ship in your fleet. You have 30 minutes to comply." Admiral Carter looked at her tactical display. She had started this battle with 300 ships. Now she had less than 250. The humans were destroying her fleet with ease, and she still had no idea how they were doing it. "Admiral, what are your orders?" Jake Morrison asked. "Do we retreat or continue fighting?" Lisa Carter stared at the blue planet that had seemed so peaceful just hours ago. Now it looked like the most dangerous place in the galaxy. She had never faced an enemy like this before, and she was beginning to realize that the Empire might have made a terrible mistake. The Imperial fleet moved away from Earth to regroup near Mars. Admiral Lisa Carter counted her losses and felt sick. In just 1 hour of fighting, the humans had destroyed over 50 Imperial ships. These were not lucky hits or accidents. The humans had weapons that could destroy Empire vessels with single shots. Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked day and night to understand what had happened. She studied every piece of data the fleet had collected about the human solar system. What she found made her hands shake with fear. "Admiral, you need to see this," Elena said, calling Lisa to the science station. "I have been analyzing the energy readings from across the solar system. The humans have not just been hiding weapons. They have been hiding an entire military network." Lisa looked at the display screen and saw energy signatures scattered throughout the solar system. Red dots marked locations where massive power sources were operating. There were hundreds of them, maybe thousands. "What am I looking at?" Lisa asked. "This is the asteroid belt," Elena explained, pointing to a cluster of red dots. "Our initial scans showed it was just a collection of space rocks. But look at these energy readings. Each asteroid is generating enough power to run a small city. They are not rocks at all." Captain Ryan Brooks joined them at the science station. He had been studying the tactical data from the battle. "The weapons fire came from the asteroid belt," he confirmed. "But our sensors showed nothing but empty space." Elena nodded grimly. "That is because the humans had been disguising their weapons as asteroids. They built fake rocks around their gun platforms. From a distance, they look like natural space debris." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "How many of these fake asteroids are there?" "Thousands," Elena replied. "The entire asteroid belt appears to be artificial. The humans have built the largest weapons platform in history and disguised it as a natural phenomenon." But that was not the worst news. Elena brought up another display showing the gas giants Jupiter and Saturn. Both planets were showing massive energy signatures that had not been there during the initial surveys. "The gas giants are not natural either," Elena explained. "The humans have built industrial complexes inside the planets. They are using the gas giant atmospheres to hide massive factories and shipyards." Ryan Brooks studied the data with growing horror. How long would it take to build something like this? "We are talking about construction on a scale that would take centuries." "That is exactly what they did," Elena said. "The humans have been preparing for this war for hundreds of years. They knew the Empire would eventually find them, so they turned their entire solar system into a fortress." Commander Jake Morrison had been listening to the conversation with disbelief. "But that is impossible. Our scouts said the humans were primitive. They were supposed to be fighting each other with simple weapons." Elena brought up recordings of human behavior patterns. "The humans were putting on a show for our scouts. They wanted us to think they were weak and divided. But look at the coordination in their so-called primitive wars. They were practicing for this battle." Lisa Carter realized the full scope of what they were facing. The humans had spent centuries preparing for the Empire's arrival. They had built weapons throughout their solar system and then hidden them so well that the Empire's best scouts had been completely fooled. "What about Earth itself?" Lisa asked. "If they turned asteroids into weapons and gas giants into factories, what did they do to their home planet?" Elena's face went pale. "That is what scares me the most. The energy readings from Earth are unlike anything I have ever seen. The planet itself is generating power on a scale that should be impossible. The science team worked through the night to analyze Earth's energy signature. What they found was beyond their worst fears. The planet was not just inhabited by humans. It had been converted into a weapon. The humans have been modifying their planet for generations, Galena reported to the senior staff. They have built massive structures under the oceans and deep underground. The planet's core has been converted into some kind of reactor. Ryan Brooks pulled up images of Earth from before the battle. Look at this. The planet is rotating faster than it should. The humans have been artificially speeding up their world's rotation. Why would they do that? Jake Morrison asked. To generate power, Elena explained. They are using their planet's rotation as a giant generator. The energy output is incredible. Earth itself has become a power source for their weapons. But the most shocking discovery was still to come. The humans had been in contact with the Imperial fleet again, but this time the communication was coming from an impossible location. Admiral, we are receiving a message from the humans, the communication officer reported. But the signal is coming from inside the planet, deep inside, near the core. General Kate Sullivan appeared on the screen again. This time, she was not in a simple bunker. She was standing in a vast underground chamber that seemed to stretch for miles in every direction. Thousands of humans were working at control stations, monitoring displays that showed the entire solar system. Welcome to Earth Command, General Sullivan said. I apologize for the deception, but we needed to see what kind of enemy we were facing. Now that you have shown us your intentions, we can speak more openly. Lisa Carter stared at the massive underground facility. What is this place? How is it possible? This is the command center for our solar system defense network, General Sullivan explained. We built it inside our planet's core, where your sensors could not detect it. From here, we can control every weapon in our star system. The camera moved to show the scale of the facility. It was enormous, bigger than most cities. Humans worked at thousands of control stations, each one managing different aspects of the defense network. The technology was far beyond anything the Empire had ever seen. How long have you been building this? Lisa asked. For over 300 years, General Sullivan replied. We detected the Empire's expansion pattern long ago. We knew you would eventually reach our solar system, so we began preparing. Every generation of humans has worked on this project. Elena Rodriguez felt her scientific mind struggling to accept what she was seeing. You converted your entire planet into a military installation. That should have killed your civilization. We are a tough species, General Sullivan said with a slight smile. We learned to live with the changes. Our children grew up knowing that their world was also a weapon. It became part of our culture. The humans explained how they had spent centuries building their defenses. They had hollowed out asteroids and filled them with weapons. They had built factories inside gas giants to produce ammunition and ships. They had even modified their own planet to serve as the ultimate fortress. But why did you hide all this from our scouts? Ryan Brooks asked. You could have warned us away before the battle started. We needed to know what kind of enemy the Empire was, General Sullivan explained. Your scouts told us about your expansion methods. You conquer worlds, strip them of resources, and enslave their populations. We could not allow that to happen to Earth. Lisa Carter began to understand the full scope of what had happened. You have been planning this war for centuries. You knew exactly how we would attack. We studied every battle the Empire has fought, General Sullivan confirmed. We know your tactics, your weapons, your weaknesses. We have been preparing for this specific scenario for 300 years. The humans revealed more of their preparations. They had built hidden shipyards throughout the solar system. They had developed weapons that could destroy Imperial ships instantly. They had even modified their own biology to survive in the harsh conditions of their weaponized world. Our entire civilization has been focused on this moment, General Sullivan continued. Every human alive today has been trained from birth to fight the Empire. We are not just defending our world. We are fighting for the freedom of the entire galaxy. Jake Morrison felt his confidence crumbling. You mean this was all planned? The way you acted, the way you responded to our demands? We needed to draw you in close, General Sullivan explained. Your ships are powerful, but they are not designed to fight an entire solar system. We wanted your fleet in range of our weapons before we revealed our true capabilities. Elena Rodriguez realized that the Empire had walked into the most sophisticated trap in galactic history. The humans had spent centuries preparing for this one battle, and they had thought of everything. What happens now? Lisa asked. General. Sullivan's expression became serious. Now you have a choice, Admiral. You can continue fighting and lose every ship in your fleet. Or you can surrender and become our prisoners. Either way, your invasion of Earth is over. Lisa Carter looked at her tactical display. The human weapons were still targeting her ships, ready to destroy them at a moment's notice. The Empire's mighty fleet was trapped in a solar system that had been converted into the largest weapon in the galaxy. For the first time in her career, Admiral Lisa Carter realized that the Empire was not going to win this battle. Fleet Admiral Marcus Webb made the decision that would doom his fleet. He refused to surrender to the humans and ordered a full attack on Earth. 300 Imperial ships moved into battle formation, their weapons charged and ready for war. We are the Galactic Empire, Marcus announced to his fleet. We have conquered 1,000 worlds and defeated every enemy we have faced. No single planet will stop us, no matter what tricks they have prepared. The Imperial fleet moved forward in a massive wave of destruction. Each ship was a fortress of metal and energy, capable of destroying entire cities with single shots. The combined firepower of the fleet could turn planets into dust. Marcus was confident that sheer force would overcome whatever the humans had built, but the humans were ready for this attack. They had spent centuries preparing for exactly this moment. As the Imperial fleet approached Earth, the planet itself began to change. Colonel Danny Parker watched from Luna Base as Earth started to spin faster. The planet's rotation was increasing beyond natural limits, creating massive gravitational effects that pulled Imperial ships out of their formations. All lunar weapons are ready, Danny reported to Earth Command. The railguns are charged, and targeting is locked on the Imperial fleet. The moon had been converted into a massive weapons platform. Its surface was covered with railguns that could fire projectiles at nearly the speed of light. Each shot carried enough kinetic energy to punch through the thickest Imperial armor. Fire when ready, came the order from General Kate Sullivan. Luna Base erupted in brilliant flashes of light as hundreds of railguns fired simultaneously. The projectiles were too fast for the Imperial ships to avoid. Each shot that hit an Imperial vessel punched completely through it, often destroying 2 or 3 ships in a single strike. Admiral Lisa Carter watched in horror as her ships were torn apart by the lunar bombardment. Shield generators to maximum. All ships, evasive maneuvers. But the Imperial ships found that their usual tactics were useless. Earth's increasing rotation was creating gravitational anomalies that made it impossible to maintain stable flight paths. Ships were pulled out of formation and sent spinning helplessly through space. Commander Jake Morrison struggled to control his vessel as it was caught in one of the gravitational distortions. Navigation systems are failing. The planet is affecting our engines. The humans had turned Earth's gravity into a weapon. By spinning their planet faster than nature intended, they created fields of twisted space that disrupted Imperial technology. Ships that came too close were pulled into uncontrolled orbits around the planet. Captain Ryan Brooks tried to coordinate the Imperial attack, but his communications were being disrupted by electromagnetic pulses from Earth. The planet's magnetic field had been modified to interfere with Imperial systems. "All ships, target the planet's surface," Marcus Webb ordered. "If we can destroy their power sources, we can stop these effects." The Imperial fleet opened fire on Earth with everything they had: plasma cannons, particle beams, and fusion missiles. Struck the planet's surface. The attacks were powerful enough to level mountains and boil oceans, but the humans had prepared for this too. Earth's surface was protected by energy shields that absorbed the Imperial attacks. The planet's modified core provided unlimited power to maintain these defenses. The Imperial weapons had no effect at all. "Impossible," Lisa Carter gasped. "Our weapons should be able to crack planets. How are they stopping us?" The answer came from the asteroid belt. The fake space rocks that had been hiding the human weapons now revealed their true nature. Thousands of gun platforms opened fire on the Imperial fleet, creating a storm of energy beams that lit up the darkness of space. Each asteroid was actually a massive weapon system with its own power source and targeting computer. The humans had built an entire army of automated gun platforms and disguised them as natural space debris. The Imperial fleet was caught in crossfire from all directions. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched her instruments as the battle raged around them. "The humans are using the entire solar system as a weapon. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid is part of their defense network." The gas giants Jupiter and Saturn began to show their true purpose. Hidden factories inside the planets started producing fresh ammunition and repair drones. The human defense network was not just fighting the Imperial fleet. It was rebuilding itself faster than the Empire could destroy it. "They have automated manufacturing systems throughout the solar system," Elena reported. "They can replace their weapons faster than we can destroy them." But the most shocking weapon was still to come. Earth itself began to glow with energy as the planet's core reactor reached full power. The humans had converted their world's molten center into a massive fusion plant, and now they were using it to power the ultimate weapon. "All ships, move away from the planet," Marcus Webb ordered as he saw the energy readings spike to impossible levels. "Earth is about to do something." The planet's rotation continued to increase, generating enormous amounts of electrical energy. The humans were using their world as a giant generator, storing power for a weapon that defied belief. Earth's magnetic field began to focus into a tight beam aimed at the center of the Imperial fleet. The planet itself was becoming a directed energy weapon of unimaginable power. Planetary beam weapon firing. Danny Parker announced from Luna Base. A column of pure energy erupted from Earth's North Pole, creating a beam of light that could be seen from other star systems. The beam swept across the Imperial fleet like a sword of fire, vaporizing every ship it touched. Entire squadrons of Imperial vessels simply vanished as the planetary beam passed through them. The weapon was so powerful that it destroyed ships instantly, leaving no debris behind. It was as if the vessels had never existed. "The planet is shooting at us," Jake Morrison screamed into his radio. "Earth itself is attacking the fleet." The Imperial ships tried to scatter, but the beam followed them through space. The humans could aim their planet like a massive gun, tracking targets across thousands of miles and destroying them with perfect accuracy. Marcus Webb watched helplessly as his fleet was decimated by the planetary weapon. Ships that had survived. Hundreds of battles were being erased from existence by a single beam of energy. "How are they doing this?" Marcus demanded. "Planets cannot be weapons. This is impossible." But the humans had made the impossible real. They had spent 3 centuries learning how to turn their world into the ultimate fortress. Every aspect of their planet had been modified to serve as part of their defense system. The battle continued for hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Imperial fleet was being destroyed piece by piece by weapons they could not understand or counter. The humans fought with the patience of a species that had been preparing for this moment for generations. Ryan Brooks found himself commanding one of the few remaining Imperial ships. "Admiral, we have lost over 200 vessels. Our fleet is being destroyed." Lisa Carter looked at her tactical display and saw the truth. The Empire's mighty fleet was being crushed by a single solar system that had been converted into a weapon. The humans had not just defeated them, they had made it look easy. "All remaining ships, prepare to retreat," Lisa ordered. "We cannot win this battle." But the humans were not finished. As the Imperial fleet tried to escape, the asteroid belt came alive with thousands of hidden ships. The humans had built an entire navy and hidden it among the fake Space Orcs. Human warships emerged from their hiding places and began pursuing the fleeing Imperial vessels. These ships were unlike anything the Empire had ever seen. They were fast, heavily armed, and designed specifically to hunt down Imperial technology. "They have a hidden fleet," Elena Rodriguez reported. "Hundreds of ships are emerging from the asteroid belt." The human ships were smaller than Imperial vessels, but they were far more advanced. They used the same technology that had destroyed the Imperial fleet, weapons that could make enemy ships simply disappear. Colonel Danny Parker led a squadron of human fighters in pursuit of the retreating Imperial ships. His vessels were built for speed and maneuverability, designed to hunt down enemies who tried to escape. "This is for every world the Empire has conquered," Danny said as he targeted a fleeing Imperial cruiser. "And this is for every species you have enslaved." The human ships struck like wolves, picking off Imperial vessels one by one. The Empire's retreat quickly became a rout as their ships were destroyed faster than they could flee. General Kate Sullivan watched the battle from Earth, command with satisfaction. The humans had been preparing for this war for 300 years, and their preparations had paid off. The Empire's invasion fleet was being completely destroyed. "Send a message to the remaining Imperial ships," General Sullivan ordered. "Tell them they can surrender now, or we will destroy every one of them." But the battle was already over. The Imperial fleet that had come to conquer Earth was no more. The humans had won their war before it truly began, and now they were ready to take their fight to the Empire itself. Admiral Lisa Carter sat in the command chair of one of the few remaining Imperial ships and counted her losses. Of the 300 vessels that had arrived to conquer Earth, only 47 were still operational. The rest had been destroyed by weapons that should not have existed. The human fleet surrounded the surviving Imperial ships like sharks circling wounded prey. The sleek human vessels were smaller than Imperial warships, but they moved with deadly grace through space. Their weapons could destroy Imperial ships with single shots, and their crews had been trained from birth to fight this exact battle. "Admiral, the humans are sending a message," reported the communications officer. His voice shook with fear and exhaustion. The crew had watched their mighty fleet be torn apart by an enemy they had thought was primitive. General Kate Sullivan appeared on the main screen. Behind her, the vast underground command center of Earth buzzed with activity. Thousands of humans worked at control stations, managing the solar system's defense network that had just crushed the Empire's invasion force. "Admiral Carter," General Sullivan said calmly, "your fleet is defeated. You have two choices. Surrender now and become our prisoners, or continue fighting and watch the rest of your ships be destroyed. You have 5 minutes to decide." Lisa Carter felt the weight of defeat crushing down on her. She had never lost a battle before. The Empire had always been victorious, always been the strongest force in the galaxy. But the humans had made their fleet look like toys. General Sullivan, Lisa said quietly, how is this possible? Our intelligence said your species was primitive. You were supposed to be easy to conquer. General Sullivan smiled slightly. We wanted you to think that. Every species the Empire has encountered has tried to fight you with the technology they had when you arrived. We took a different approach. We spent 300 years preparing for your arrival. Commander Jake Morrison listened to the conversation with growing understanding. You planned all of this. The way your scouts acted, the way your planet looked defenseless. It was all a trap. The greatest trap in galactic history, General. Sullivan confirmed. We studied every battle the Empire has fought. We learned your tactics, your weaknesses, your standard invasion procedures. Then we built our defenses specifically to counter your methods. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had been analyzing the human weapons throughout the battle. Your technology is centuries ahead of ours. How did a single planet develop such advanced science? Necessity, General Sullivan replied. When you know that the most powerful military force in the galaxy is coming to destroy your world, you find ways to innovate quickly. We put our entire civilization to work on this project. Captain Ryan Brooks was still trying to understand the scope of what the humans had built. You converted your entire solar system into a weapon that should have taken thousands of years. It took 300 years and the combined effort of 30 generations of humans, General Sullivan explained. Every person born on Earth knew that their life's work was preparing for this day. We built our defenses piece by piece, generation by generation. Lisa Carter realized that the Empire had faced an enemy unlike any other. Most species fought with whatever they had when the Empire found them. The humans had known the Empire was coming and had spent centuries getting ready. What happens now? Lisa asked. Will you destroy the rest of my fleet? That depends on you, General Sullivan said. Your invasion of Earth is over. Your fleet is defeated. But this war is just beginning. We are going to free every world the Empire has conquered. The Imperial officers were shocked by this declaration. The humans were not content with just defending their planet. They planned to take the fight to the Empire itself. You cannot defeat the entire Empire, Lisa protested. We have millions of ships and control thousands of worlds. Earth is just one planet. Earth is not just one planet, General Sullivan corrected. Earth is a planet that has spent 3 centuries preparing for war. We have weapons you cannot. Imagine and strategies you have never encountered. More importantly, we have something the Empire has never faced before. What is that? Elena Rodriguez asked. Hope, General Sullivan replied. Every world the Empire has conquered is waiting for someone to free them. Every enslaved species dreams of independence. We are going to give them that chance. The humans began broadcasting their message across the galaxy, using communication networks they had secretly built over the centuries. They sent word to every conquered world that liberation was coming. Major Tony Garcia led the first human fleet beyond the solar system. His ships were loaded with advanced weapons and crewed by humans who had trained their entire lives for interstellar warfare. Their mission was to help any world that wanted to fight for freedom. This is the Human Liberation Fleet, Tony announced as his ships approached their first target. We are here to assist any species that wants to throw off the chains of empire. Oppression. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Worlds that had been conquered decades ago rose up in rebellion. Species that had been enslaved for generations began fighting their imperial overlords. The galaxy was suddenly alive with. Revolution. Fleet Admiral Marcus Webb received reports of uprisings throughout imperial space. Hundreds of worlds were declaring independence. Rebel fleets were attacking imperial installations. The Empire was facing the largest rebellion in its history. How are they coordinating all of this? Marcus demanded. The humans have been trapped. in their solar system for centuries. How are they organizing rebellions across the galaxy? The answer came from intercepted human communications. The humans had been secretly contacting other species for decades. They had built a network of allies and rebels throughout Imperial space. When Earth's victory proved that the Empire could be defeated, that network exploded into action. Humans have been planning this for generations, Elena Rodriguez explained to the Imperial leadership. They did not just prepare to defend Earth. They prepared to liberate the entire galaxy. The Empire's response was swift and brutal. Imperial fleets moved to crush the rebellions, but they found enemies everywhere. Human ships appeared to support rebel forces, bringing advanced weapons and tactical expertise to species that had been fighting hopeless battles. Captain Denny Parker led a human squadron to the world of Zephyr Prime, where the local population had risen against their Imperial overlords. The rebels had courage, but lacked the weapons to fight Imperial forces effectively. "This is Captain Parker of the Human Liberation Fleet," Danny announced as his ships entered the system. "We bring weapons, supplies, and tactical support. The Empire's rule over your world ends today." The battle for Zephyr Prime lasted only 6 hours. The human weapons that had destroyed the Imperial invasion fleet proved equally effective against planetary occupation forces. The Imperial garrison was defeated, and another world was free. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. The Empire found itself fighting a war on thousands of fronts simultaneously. Human fleets appeared wherever rebellions needed support, bringing hope and advanced technology to oppressed species. Admiral Lisa Carter found herself in an Imperial prison, watching reports of the Empire's collapse from her cell. The mighty civilization that had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years was crumbling in a matter of months. "How did we lose so quickly?" Lisa asked Elena Rodriguez, who was imprisoned in the next cell. "We had the largest military force in galactic history. We were fighting the last war," Elena replied. "The Empire's tactics worked against species that were unprepared. But the humans spent 3 centuries studying our methods and developing counters for everything we could do." General Kate Sullivan visited the Imperial prisoners regularly. She wanted them to understand what had happened and why their empire had fallen so quickly. "Your empire made a fundamental mistake," General Sullivan explained during one visit. "You believed that might makes right. You thought that having the biggest fleet meant you could conquer anyone. Did it not?" Lisa asked bitterly. "We conquered thousands of worlds." "You conquered worlds that were not ready for you," General Sullivan corrected. "You never faced an enemy that had time to prepare. Earth had 3 centuries to get ready for your arrival. We used that time well. The human strategy was brilliant in its simplicity. They had not tried to build a fleet large enough to match the Empire's numbers. Instead, they had built weapons advanced enough to make Imperial technology obsolete. Quality had triumphed over quantity. Commander Jake Morrison was released from prison after agreeing to work with the Human Liberation Forces. He had seen enough of the Empire's brutality to realize that the humans were fighting for a just cause. "Why are you helping us?" Jake asked General Sullivan. "The Empire enslaved your enemies. We were coming to destroy your world." "Because that is what humans do," General Sullivan replied. "We fight for freedom, not just our own, but for everyone who is oppressed. The Empire ruled through fear and brutality. We will rule through hope and justice." The war continued for 2 years, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Empire's forces were scattered across the galaxy, trying to fight rebellions on thousands of worlds simultaneously. Human fleets provided support wherever it was needed, and their advanced technology tipped the balance in favor of freedom. Fleet Admiral Marcus Webb made